Hey everybody, this section of our Google Tag Manager series is called Understanding Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager operates on a fundamental principle. Basically, you add a single container code to your website or your mobile app, and from there, all of your tags can be managed through the GTM interface. There's no need to bother your developer and have them change or add code to the website. Google Tag Manager has three components in that interface. The first, tags. Tags are snippets of code that execute on a page or mobile app. They can serve a variety of uses, but most of the tags used in GTM are designed to send measurement information from your site to a third party. Some examples of these tags include the Google Analytics tag, GA4, or the Google Ads conversion tracking tag. Another aspect of Google Tag Manager in the interface, these are triggers. Triggers are conditions that need to be met for a tag to execute. For instance, you could set a trigger for a tag to execute when a specific page is viewed or when a particular button is clicked. Now, variables, that's a third aspect to the interface. Variables provide additional information that GTM might need for the tag, and trigger to work together. For example, when you're setting a trigger for a particular URL, the URL in this case is the variable. All right. What we'll do is we'll head over to the GTM interface and I'll show you these three things in action. So we'll look at tags, we'll look at triggers and how those relate to tags, and then we'll look at variables to see how variables relate to tags and triggers. Hey everybody, this is Google Tag Manager, and once you create a container, you'll be over here. It'll bring you to this overview page. This shows you the latest version. It shows you if there are any edits that have not been published, and what was kind of edited, what was added, and what about the current container was modified. It'll quantify all of that for you here, and it gives you quick and easy access to, let's say, adding a new tag. On the left-hand side, you'll see tags, triggers, and variables, the three things we just talked about. Let's head over to tags. Okay, so I just want to show you actually how to create a new tag. When you're brought to this tag section, you see the various tags that are in your container, the name of them, the type of tag, and the way in which the tag is executed. In this case, all tags in Google Tag Manager are executed using what it calls a trigger. So the name of the triggers are here. And the last edited date is also here. All right, let's head over to New. And I'll show you a really good naming convention. So inside the brackets, we're going to write where the tag is firing. And then outside of the brackets, we'll write the type of tag. So we'll write Google Ads conversion tracking tag. It's fine. Tag, no tag. But the idea is this is where it's firing, and this is the type of tag it is. Once you have lots and lots of tags in your container, this is a really easy way to find your tag. So it's a really helpful naming convention. Click over here to tag configuration and choose the tag template. Google Ads conversion tracking tag is the one we're going to use. Now we're going to go over to Google Ads, and I just want to show you. So let's go to Tools and Settings, Conversions, and we need to grab the conversion ID and the label. Okay, click on Purchase. This is my conversion here. This is assuming you've already created your conversion tracking tag in the interface. So tag setup here at the bottom, and we're going to click on Use Google Tag Manager, and then conversion ID. Let's copy that, put it here. Now we need to get conversion label. So let's copy that, put it here in conversion label. Now, let's say, for example, this is a SaaS website, right? So software as a service, we are going to have a product that we charge $10 a month for. So for the conversion value, we're just going to write 10. But the transaction ID, this is a really good use case for a variable. So a variable in this case will grab something from the data layer, which is a piece of code that sits on your website that your developer can pass things to, and then a marketer like yourself can grab things in that data layer and use them inside Google Tag Manager. So for the transaction ID, let's say your developer passed a transaction ID every time a transaction took place, and he called that variable transaction, let's say, and he informed you that this variable is present inside the data layer. So what we're going to do is click here, this Lego block with a plus sign, and we're going to create a new variable. Okay. And let's follow the naming convention. Contact us. And we will say, contact us doesn't actually make too much sense when I think about it. Let's call it purchase. Purchase, and we're going to, we said that in the data layer it's called transaction. So I'm going to write this transaction. And then I'm going to create a data layer variable because our developer said, well, it's in the data layer and it's called transaction. And so I'm going to specify that name here, transaction, because that's what it looks like in the data layer according to our web developer. Now, when I hit save, we can see here that the name of the data layer variable we just created is passed here to transaction ID. So whenever a transaction takes place, that variable name transaction that our web developer told us about will have a value that will be passed over here. So the value will be dynamic. Every transaction will have its own value. Great example, great use case for a variable inside GTM. Again, these are hard-coded, so they're static. This is going to be dynamic. It changes every time a transaction takes place. Now, currency code, this is something that can be dynamic as well. So anytime you sell something around the world, the currency could change in that case. But I'm going to hard code USD just for illustrative purposes. All right. So that was customizing a tag. That was adding a variable as well. Now what I want to show you is adding a trigger. Oh yeah, and I want to actually fix our naming convention. Contact us, because I told you guys we were buying something, we're going to change that to purchase. Just like with this transaction variable. So there you go, purchase. Okay, so trigger here at the bottom, we're going to create a new trigger. And again, right, follow that same naming convention, purchase. Purchase, meaning this is the purchase page or the purchase set of actions. And we're going to call it order on page. I think it's like that. Okay, and we're going to choose the trigger type. We click here, click the whole rectangle. This is going to be a page view trigger. And we don't want our Google Ads conversion tracking tag to fire on all the pages. We want it to fire on some of the pages. So we're going to check this radio box. And we're going to click on page URL contains order. So I know that this is the case for my website. You should know what the URL looks like in your case. But for mine, it's order-confirmation. And so the Google Ads conversion tracking tag will only execute when the page URL contains order-confirmation. Then I'm going to click Save. And there we have it. We have a completed Google Ads conversion tracking tag with a conversion ID, again pertaining to the Google Ads account, a conversion label pertaining to the Google Ads conversion action, a conversion value hard-coded, $10, because every time a transaction takes place, it's a subscription value, let's say, of $10. And then a dynamic transaction ID that lives inside the data layer. So we're using a variable that grabs the transaction ID that will be dynamic. It will change every time a transaction takes place. I'm grabbing that from the data layer. So this is a variable, we're adding that here. We've hard-coded a currency, USD, and we've added a trigger. And the trigger will fire this particular tag every time a page URL contains order-confirmation. Again, hit save. Perfect. There it is in our overview section. Sorry, it's this one here. Our naming convention. Last edited a few seconds ago. And we want to hit submit now. You can add a version name. You can add a description as well for the version. And then when you publish, it'll ask you to add a descriptive name for the particular container that you're publishing. And you can also describe what you did. Hit continue. Sing like no one is listening. Okay, there are the changes that took place. And there you have it. So we looked at tags, triggers, and variables. Thanks, guys.